Hey everybody, welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Trying a slightly different setup for this video. Because the movie I'm looking at, FM, which I've sort of half-jokingly called Yacht Rock, the movie, was sort of a widescreen affair. And I thought it might show up a little bit better if I put myself in this little box. If I put baby in a corner, if you will, and let the movie have a little bit more space. So, hopefully this will work out. I know it's kind of a shame you don't get a nice big view of my gorgeous mug, but listen, you gotta deal with some hardships in life. So what movie are we talking about here? FM, 1978, a movie that was panned by critics and did really poorly at the box office, and which I kind of like, because what can I say? I don't really always go along with what everybody else thinks. It is a film about an FM radio station, and in 78, FM, was really coming into its own. And there was a time when AM was sort of the bigger format, primarily, I think, because an AM station, the way they broadcast, can hit a much wider area than FM, which kind of is going direct from tower to your radio. So as a result, AM could hit a larger group of people, which is going to help with ad revenue. But FM sounded better, and eventually FM sort of takes over the world. Stars Michael Brandon as Jeff Dugan, who is the program director and morning DJ at Q Sky, an LA radio station. Alex Karras plays Doc Holliday, the midday DJ. We got Cleavon Little. We got Martin Mull. And so we're seeing the sun, rise over LA early morning, and we're getting some looks at this station. Also has Cassie Yates in it. You can see there Cleavon Little. He plays the Prince of Darkness, the nighttime DJ. We get a special concert appearance by Linda Ronstadt and Jimmy Buffett. So right now we're just sort of getting the vibe of this radio station. And then we see Dugan. He has a pretty cool apartment from what I can tell. Sort of not wanting to wake up in the morning. It does include a song performed by Steely Dan. Actually had a pretty popular soundtrack, this one. And so he's got a radio setup waking him up in the morning. He finally gets a call from Cleavon Little, who says, I'm going to be off the air in about 10 minutes. You need to get your butt here. And so, and by the way, hello, goodbye. Look, here's the thing. This is sort of the me generation, right? Not technically boomers. They kind of come after boomers and before Generation X. So when Generation X were kids, these were like the annoying teenagers who picked on us. And they did pick on us. They were the younger siblings of the baby boomers. They are the parents of the millennials. Okay. There was a time when stuff like having hello and goodbye on your shirt, wearing a Hawaiian shirt, out to do, to work or something. These were considered very cool things to do. It was actually kind of rebellious. Yacht rock, easy listening kind of rock, mellow rock, was kind of rebellious in a way. Now, the punks didn't think so. The nascent metalheads didn't think so. But these were sort of people who were going, yeah, I'm not really cool with, graduating from college and throwing a suit on and getting a haircut, and listening to the right stuff. I don't want to be in the rat race. I don't want to be in major competition with everybody. I kind of just want to chill and get my job done and whatever. All right. I kind of get it, to be honest with you. Now it's not looked at as even remotely cool, but it had its time, it had its place. And this Dugan character is, I would kind of refer to him as a professional hippie, or maybe a hippie professional. He's got a job, he's doing it well, but there's that counterculture element to him. Maybe a little bit of an aging rebel without a cause. And a character like that, who, cares about the music, man, can be really annoying and really tacky. And a lot of the critics, that's exactly what they felt about this guy. I didn't see it that way, because it went a little bit deeper than that for me. And maybe we'll hit on some of these points as I go through the movie, but there is a point where he's kind of saying, not like screw profit, it doesn't matter, but what he's saying to the higher ups is, we've got like the number one station in town. We got a lot of listeners. You bring in stuff that doesn't belong here, you're going to screw the whole thing up and you ain't going to have any listeners. So it's not really like an anti-corporate thing exactly. It's sort of a don't kill the goose that's laying a golden egg thing. And I kind of like that about him, because a lot of times you get exactly that kind of character, who's all about the music and screw the profit. And I don't care, man. All you care about is money, man. This dude's not living in a fantasy world exactly. He's got a good thing and he's worked hard to build it, and he's trying to keep it alive. So, directed by John A. Alonzo. From what I can tell, this is the only film that he directed. He was primarily a cinematographer. And dude, does he have a body of work. Few examples. Chinatown, Bad News Bears, Black Sunday. That's the one with the terrorists who are going to blow up the Super Bowl with a blimp. Tom Horn, Zorro, The Gateblade, Blue Thunder, Scarface, Overboard, which I primarily bring up because we just happened to watch that a few days ago. Steel Magnolias, Cool World, Ralph Bakshai's, Cool World. Star Trek Generations. Did a lot of TV and stuff too. As was interesting, there's names that aren't on the tip of your tongue, and maybe they should be on the tip of your tongue because he did a lot of really good stuff. So Jeff Dugan jumps in his car, pretty cool car, racing through LA. You get a lot of great, LA in 1977, 78 kind of shots. If you like that kind of stuff, which I do, the sort of accidental documentary stuff. Notice that 76 sign in the background. Friggin' love those things. Gets to Q Sky, makes it into his booth just in time. And then this is where the movie really kind of kicks in. Because we start off with this sort of meeting of the DJs. So you get to learn a little bit about who these people are. Of course, Martin Mull, rest in peace, just passed away, is in the film playing Eric Sky, who is sort of a kind of a egotistical, little arrogant yutz, but sort of lovable too because he's like such a dork. That's him with a donut on his finger, flipping the bird, because that's the cool thing to do. I do it all the time at work. I'm known for it. He's like what you might call FM radio famous, but he wants to be bigger than that. And he's very mellow on the air. And then he's kind of a jerk in real life, but then he's also super insecure. Jeff Dugan, we've already kind of met. That's him like leading this meeting. You can see assembled there. Also, Eileen Brennan plays a veteran DJ called Mother. Cleavon Little, the Prince of Darkness, who way underused in this movie. Way underused in this movie. Should have done a lot more with that character. Alex Karras, who would one day be on Webster, plays Doc Holliday, the sort of midday DJ, and he's going through a rough patch. His ratings are way down. He's screwing up a lot. Dugan's trying to help him out a little bit, get him back in shape, but it looks like he's probably going to have to go. So again, we got the Dugan character. He's willing to, fire somebody who he likes because it's what we got to do to keep the ratings up to stay where we are. So again, not like a total anti-money hippie. We have the studio engineers. There's actually kind of a nice bit where the one engineer, the guy there, wants to be a DJ. He's made like a demo tape. And it's very, hey, everybody, this is Q Sky, blah, 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 the kind of thing. And Dugan kind of laughs and he's like, okay, look, if you're going to be a DJ, like, talk to your listeners like they're friends. Don't put on some weird act. Like they're not gonna like that. It's not gonna be cool to them. Brennan's really good in it. She's playing that really like veteran DJ who has kind of getting sick of this, shit. It's like, being a DJ is not the easiest thing in the world. I mean, I know a lot of people probably think it is, but screwed up hours and you got to deal with a lot of idiots on the phone. And she's just, she's at that stage we've all been at where you're just like, you kind of had enough. Again, there's Cleavon Little, who's looking through some records as he heads out the door. So boo hiss, here's the bad guy of our movie. This is corporate ad guy, Regis Lamar, who is being sent in because they have number one station. They want to up the ante on the advertising and they want to bring in some bigger accounts. And this is kind of becomes the crux of the problem. As he's first entering the station, he meets, I don't know if you'd call her the office manager, receptionist. I think she's kind of a little bit of both. There's kind of a cool scene between the two. When he walks in, she's got classical music on and she's sort of like, oh, thank God. Because she doesn't like the music they play on the station. She sees him and she puts it back on the station really quick. So you get this feeling that maybe she's also a little bit of a square. And because Lamar right out says like, I don't really care for music. But there's a real big difference between these two squares. She may not like the music they're playing, but she's part of the family. And that's a big theme in this really is family. This guy's not part of the family. This guy doesn't want to be part of the family. Like I said, this guy's kind of a tool. He gets in, he's looking around the place. He meets Eric Swan, who you see that's his assistant back there behind all those tapes. And he's like, what are you doing coming in here? I'm in the middle of a show, yelling at the guy, wants him to get out. And of course, once he does, you find out that his assistant didn't have any pants on, which is why she was hiding back there. This is Eric Swan. Again, he's kind of a dork, but he's their dork. So in a way, it's okay. So here's our first big plot point really is the meeting of Regis Lamar and Jeff Dugan. Dugan is polite to him, but you can see it nicely shot, a little adversarial there. And Dugan's already decided, I got to try to head this dude off at the pass because some of the stuff he wants to bring in here, like commercials for the U.S. Army. And remember, this is 78. So if you got a listenership that is maybe a little bit hippie, a little bit indie, they don't necessarily want to hear Army ads on the radio. Good account, lots of money, but the point he's trying to make is it's going to piss my listeners off. And we're going to lose our listeners. And if we lose the listeners, you're not going to get so much ad revenue anymore, are you? But he's trying to be kind of nice to the guy, figure out what he's up to so he could deal with it. So we cut then to a concert with a young Jimmy Buffett, also sadly rest in peace. He sadly does not play Cheeseburger in Paradise. And no, I'm not joking. I kind of dig that song. But so it's a chance to see like the DJs are there at a table. Lamar is there. He clearly doesn't fit in. We meet this cigar chomping guy who's like the program director at the number 2 station. He's a Yacht, kind of a jerk. And he's bragging because his station is sponsoring this Linda Ronstadt concert. And Jeff Dugan wants to figure out what he can do to kind of get the Linda Ronstadt concert, pull the rug out from under this guy. He's got some irons in the fire. He's got some ideas. Next day. And this is one of those weird. So what we're going to get in this movie is some little vignettes of sort of happenings at a radio station. And we get the overarching plot. And if there's any problem with the movie, it's that they don't do a real good job of weaving these two kind of elements together. Movies kind of similar to, say, American Graffiti or Dazed and Confused. Now, those both take place over basically the course of a day and the night, but similar vignettes, little moments, but it weaves together into an overall narrative a little bit better than this movie does. Definite flaw in this film, no doubt about it. So, vignette time. Doesn't have much to do with the plot overall. A little bit revealing of Eric Swan as a character. Dolores Deluxe shows up. Now, she is played by a woman named Brenda Venus, who, among other things, and you can hardly guess what some of those other things were, served as playwright Henry Miller's muse in the, later stages of his life. Kind of interesting. She was also, I believe, in the Eiger Sanction, because I think that's the first time I read anything about her was when I was watching that movie. She shows up and wants something, and she kind of seduces poor Eric Swan, who, again, fancies himself kind of a big deal, but he's deer in headlights, obviously. And so he is easily seduced, and the seduction occurs on the air. So you're hearing things. There's his assistant, who rather loves him, and he probably should be happy to have her. She's not real thrilled. The engineers are dying. They're calling like, Eric, you're going out live, baby. Like, what are you going to do? They're not getting anything from him. Bunch of people run to the station. Of course, they also have the ad guy there. So they're like, oh, crap. I don't want to get corporate pissed off. They bust in, and there he is by himself. And he's going, yeah, this was doing a little experiment. I can't remember what he called it. Yada, yada, yada. He's okay. And, of course, it turns out that the woman in question was underneath the desk. So he kind of got away with it. So, like I said, one of the aspects of this movie is sort of that family after your family, right? You've left home, you've left mom and dad's house. They're still your family. Well, hopefully. I know sometimes things don't work out. But you're young, you're in your 20s, and you start building a network of friends. And maybe at some point you're going to get married and have kids and actually make a proper sort of, blood relations family of your own. But it's that moment where you have this network of friends that are like family. And you can sort of see in this image, this is when they're getting the ratings, they're finding out they're still number one, that they're all celebrating, got champagne. But you can kind of get the feeling that this is sort of a family. There's our little weasel, our little jerk, who's mostly excited because, hey, I'm going to be able to make lots of money off of this station. Next sort of vignette, Dugan visits Doc Holliday at his home. Yes, he's holding a gun. He's shooting bottles while they're having this uncomfortable conversation. And Dugan's being like, dude, we're going to have to let you go. I mean, and Holliday's bummed and he's kind of pissed. And ultimately, Dugan gets out of there. Now, Cassidy Yates plays Laura Coe, who takes over as the midday DJ. There's sort of a love interest thing between her and Jeff Dugan. At least Dugan's trying to make sure that happens as best he can. And she's pretty cool. So anyways, they've gotten rid of him, but there's even a scene where he's on the phone with a guy saying, look, this dude would be an awesome program director. He's trying to get the dude work. It's like he didn't fire him because he wanted to, but he did have to. That's why the attitude that this is like this super idealistic guy who doesn't care about the business of radio just falls completely flat to me. He's doing the business of radio. So in come the Army guys. You got this loser who basically lights up a joint while the other guy just stands there the whole time. And he's like, yeah, man, we got some cool, radio spots. I think you're going to love them. It's like it's basically, that whole cringe thing when people who aren't cool try to be cool. And Dugan's sort of listening like, oh, yeah, that's really great. I love it, dude. Okay. But he's not being committal here, but he's like, yeah, there's no way I can let this stuff on my channel. And he's also like looking at this guy who's like standing at attention the whole time, kind of like, what is going on with these people? So that's your kind of next plot point. Now we've had the Army guys and their commercials introduced and what's going to come of it. All right, next vignette. And this one, dude, if you were alive in the 70s and 80s, this one is absolutely rad. We got a live remote going on at a record store. REO Speedwagon is there signing records. You just get to look at all the people and, all the records and what everything looks like. There's the band with Dugan. You got the live remote. You got Mother, DJing the thing. You got a guy with an absolutely massive forehead, which, what would they say? Call it a 5-head. But it's like, it's people watching. And if you were alive back then, it is like pure nostalgia. And the most awesome thing of all is it's a Tower Records. Man, we had a Tower Records in Vegas. I remember well, dude, it was just awesome. You can kind of do the same thing now at Zia Records. It's sort of the same, a little different, but man, you could just go into a place like that and lose yourself for an hour going through the stacks of all the records, all the tapes. That was awesome. The jerk from the number 2 station shows up again, being a jerk. The Weasel tries to hit on Mother, who isn't having anything to do with it. All right, next morning, Dugan kind of lets the Weasel know, yeah, those commercials just aren't going to work here, man. And the Weasel goes through a real roller coaster of emotions as this is happening, and ultimately is just not very happy. It's the night of the Linda Ronstadt concert, and you do get to see her do a couple songs. So we go to the concert. So what these guys have managed to hook up with some of the security is they're going to go in there, hook up their equipment. They're going to do a simulcast of the concert on the radio station. Now, that used to be a thing, right? You had a band in town. Sometimes they would play the entire live concert over the radio. They also did it sometimes if they were like playing like Gone with the Wind on TV that night. You could tune into a radio station and they'd play the entire movie on the radio station. So that way you could get it in stereo, which old console TVs didn't do as well back then. So that was kind of a cool thing. You go, oh God, I forgot they used to do that stuff. So they get it all set up. And they had like a guy who was supposed to be driving that one jerk from the number 2 station to the concert, sort of gets lost and stuff, so he can't get there. So it's a big success. We pulled it off, right? We're staying number 1. Our fans love us. While they're there at the concert, Weasel is back in Jeff's office on the phone to the big boss man. And we're going to get him. Okay, next vignette. This is kind of funny, especially if you're a big fan of Martin Mull. He basically gets this like TV audition and he completely screws it up because of his ego. And his agent is like, dude, this is it, baby. You're never getting another TV spot here ever. And he kind of has this breakdown on the air and he barricades himself in the studio and he's losing it. And all I really want is love. And why can't he's just going nuts. And so Yates at first is like, all right, like, what is this dude? Or I should say Co, that's the character's name. Like, what is going on? And when he starts really going off the deep end, she's like, oh, crap. And so they're all trying to find a way in there. Jeff manages to get in there and kind of talk him down, and he's like, dude, it's going to be okay. You're going to be all right. You've just, gone out live to, thousands of women, and they're all out in the front lobby wanting to meet you. And you can see they're holding all these women back who love Eric Swan, and I'll love you. It's kind of funny. Some good moments and some good human moments. And it's at that point that Mother lets Jeff know, like, she's leaving. She's leaving the station. And, he's trying to talk her back. He's trying to get her to stay. And, oh, dude, I almost forgot. Yeah. We get some spoilers going here. He's trying to talk her into staying. She's like, no, dude, I'm out. I'm gone. I can't do this anymore. I want more stuff out of life. And again, so we're looking at that, and this happens in life, right? Everything is perfect. You're on top, and then stuff starts to fall apart on you. And that's something you got to learn to deal with in life. It just is. It sucks. But, that perfect moment doesn't last forever. You got to put a lot of work into making anything last in life. It's tough. It's part of growing up, but it's, again, kind of gets into that family theme. We get a nice moment with Tom Petty doing an on-air interview. So Big Boss Man shows up. Yeah, you're going to be playing the commercials, whether you want to or not. Dugan's like, no, I'm not going to do it. They fire him just like that. Here's the guy that's made you number one. He's giving you the best advice he can. Now screw it, you're out. Well, this doesn't go well with the rest of the staff. And so they have a little plot that they're going to take over the station until they can get Jeff his job back. And so they sneak in at night. They got like groceries and stuff like that. Mull does this, like, he's doing and they're going, dude, we still work here. We haven't done anything yet. We can just walk in. We don't need to sneak in. They bar the doors, and, this would be where Cleavon Little, the Prince of Darkness, is on, and he lets the listeners know this is what's going on. And you know what? Right now, there's not going to be any commercials. No commercials at all. We're done. Crowd gathers. The police are there. Weasel and the Weasel's boss or manager are there trying to get this thing sorted out. Jeff manages to get into the building. We're not going to, you're not going to take this station away from us. All right, here we get some idealism. Probably not real bright. You get it. Goes into the nighttime. Eventually the cops manage to get, the warrant to go in. We do get, though, Dugan sort of like finally really connects with Co, which is kind of cool to see. So they get the station owner flies out, and the cops go in, and stuff starts going crazy, and the crowd is like tipping this van over and stuff. And Jeff's like going, oh man, people are going to get hurt. And so he gets out on this ledge with this mic, and he's like yelling at everybody, you got to stop it. You got to stop what you're doing. And I like this. He, he's going, all this property damage, people getting hurt is not worth it, man. It is just a radio station. If we can't have it here, we'll have it somewhere else. Like, I love seeing everybody rally, but I don't want to see anybody getting hurt. And so the Weasel and the manager think, all right, we friggin' won. Station owner walks up and says, hold on. You two are fired. He stays because he's giving me the number one station in LA, and we'll figure out the commercial stuff. Okay. Oh, of course, it's a happy ending. Hell Yeah, it's a happy ending. This is America. We don't like unhappy endings, except for Doc Holliday, who still got fired. But other than that, we don't like unhappy endings in the US of A. And if you don't like that, well, that's just too bad. Okay, credits roll. So this movie has some very definite flaws. And like I said, they don't weave the elements together that well. The end's a little bit goofy. What I found it to be is just a really cool movie to sort of hang out with. You get all sorts of cool stuff, late 70s, the music, the looks, etc. So there's a nostalgia element. But even if you weren't around then, it's a way to sort of dive into it, which frankly, Dazed and Confused, American Graffiti, same thing, except they were technically period pieces. But we all know there's those kind of movies that you just sort of put on and chill out to. And you're seeing some characters who are mostly pretty cool. You're going to like one or two of them for sure, you know. And you're seeing some funny little moments. Nice little happy ending. Yeah, it's not a blockbuster. It's not the greatest movie ever made. But it's kind of a cool little flick. And I watched it over the 4th of July weekend. Hadn't seen it. I really hadn't seen the whole movie ever before. I'd seen like the ending of it. And I really kind of vibed out to it, man. I kind of really dug it. And I think you might too. And like I said, there's that family element. And I think a lot of us can relate to that. Either we've gone through our those, early 20s and we've had that moment, that really tight circle of friends that's almost closer to you in a weird way than your family. And then, people get older and people get married and people move on and what have you. And it doesn't last, but it's so friggin' good while you got it. And that's kind of an element that you have with the people at this radio station. And, you're like I said, you're going to go through these things a few times. I've gone through it a few times in my life. You learn to really value when you have it and value those cool people in your life while you have them and not really take it for granted. And there's some really genuinely human moments in this movie. Doc Holliday getting fired was one of them. Mother, who's sort of, telling Jeff what's on her mind. Even Eric Swan freaking out. There's some good moments. The Tower Records scene is awesome. If you were alive or if you just wondered, man, what did it look like back then? That's what it looked like back then. It's sort of true to life. You also have a freaking great soundtrack. The Eagles, James Taylor, Bob Seger, Dan Fogelberg, Billy Joel. You get the first Queen song ever in a soundtrack in this movie. Again, yeah, it's kind of yacht rock, but well, what can I tell you, man? Since my 40s, I've kind of gotten into yacht rock, and I didn't listen to that stuff at all for most of my life. But there's a certain point where you're like, I'm kind of ready to mellow out a little bit, and just listen to some Hall & Oates. I don't care anymore. I'm not angry enough to listen to a lot of metal and punk nowadays. The old stuff that I grew up on, I still dig, but other than that. So what you get with FM is a flawed movie, but a great movie to sort of chill out to. Give it a try, especially if you like the music, if you like the period. Give it a shot. Again, don't expect a blockbuster to change your life. This is a movie to sort of chill out to. So give it a shot. That's all I got for this video. Is this a movie you know? Is it a movie you like? Is it a movie you hate? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Whatever your opinions are, it's all cool with me. If you enjoyed this review, please maybe think about subscribing, maybe share with a friend. Helps our little channel grow, and I really do appreciate that. And even if you got to the end and you didn't like it, I appreciate that you watched. I appreciate everybody who gives it a shot. What more can you ask? So until next time, let's end with that beautiful sunrise in LA that was crazy, but not quite as crazy as it is now. God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Try to have some fun out there, and hopefully I'll see you again soon in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.